The feeling of sand between my toes, the gentle crash of waves against the shore, the laughter of my siblings as we built sandcastles on Cedar Point Beach. Those were the memories I cherished before everything fell apart. I was the oldest Thompson child, the one who started our summer tradition. Then suddenly, for 8 straight years, my family vacationed without me. No invitations, no explanations. So when I saw that resort for sale, I knew exactly what to do. When my mother called to book, I simply said, "Just like your house, mine is out of room. Let me know where you are watching from, and be sure to subscribe as I tell you how I went from excluded to owner." I never thought my family would become strangers to me. My name is Carrie Thompson, a 35-year-old architect based in Seattle, but my story begins in the suburbs of Boston where I grew up. My father, Frank, built a successful law practice from the ground up, a firm that now handles cases for some of the biggest corporations in Massachusetts. My mother, Martha, taught piano lessons from our home, her gentle nature balancing my father's intensity. My younger sister, Amanda, and brother, Jason, completed our family of 5. Growing up, our home was filled with music, laughter, and expectations, especially expectations. My father had a vision for each of us. The Thompson children were destined for greatness, particularly in the field of law. The pressure was heaviest on me as the firstborn son. Every report card scrutinized every achievement measured against impossibly high standards. Despite the tension, we had one sacred family tradition that brought us joy each year. For 2 weeks every summer since I was 5 years old, we would stay at Cedar Point Resort on the Maine coastline. The modest beachfront property became our second home, our escape from the pressures of everyday life. We would rent the same 2 adjoining cabins each year. I would share a room with Jason, while Amanda had her own space in the cabin with our parents. During those 2 weeks, my father would temporarily set aside his expectations. We would fish off the pier in the mornings, build elaborate sand structures during the day, and gather around a bonfire at night. Mom would bring her portable keyboard, and we would sing together under the stars. Those were the moments I lived for all year long. The cracks in our relationship began to form during my junior year of college. I had been following the path laid out for me, majoring in pre-law at Boston University, but I was miserable. I discovered my passion for architectural design in an elective course. The way spaces could be crafted to evoke emotions and serve purposes beyond their basic function fascinated me. I switched majors despite my father's furious objections. "You are throwing away your future on a whim," he shouted during a particularly heated argument in our living room. The Thompson name has been associated with law for generations. This is not just about you. My mother sat quietly at her piano during this confrontation, fingers hovering above the keys, never playing a note, never coming to my defense. Her silence hurt almost as much as my father's anger. The final breaking point came at my college graduation. My father attended, but remained cold throughout the ceremony. When I crossed the stage to receive my architectural design degree, I searched the crowd for his approval. Instead, I saw disappointment etched across his face. After the ceremony, he confronted me one last time. "You have made your choice," he said, his voice flat and distant. "I hope you do not regret it." I moved to Seattle the following week, accepting a position with an up-and-coming architectural firm. I tried to maintain contact through weekly phone calls to my mother, which grew increasingly brief and strained. Jason and Amanda would occasionally text, but those two became infrequent. The first summer after graduation, I called home in early June to ask about our annual trip to Cedar Point. My mother answered with hesitation in her voice. "Carrie, I think it might be best if you focus on establishing yourself in Seattle this summer. Your father feels it would be uncomfortable." I was stunned. "Mom, this is our family tradition. We have never missed a year." "I know, sweetie, but things change. People need time to adjust. Maybe next year." I reluctantly accepted her explanation, throwing myself into work to distract from the pain of being excluded. Then one evening in late July, I was scrolling through Facebook when a post from Amanda appeared on my feed. A smiling family photo on the familiar Cedar Point beach with the caption, "Perfect summer vacation with our entire family." So blessed. The photo showed my parents, Amanda, Jason, and even Amanda's boyfriend, Tom, all smiling broadly on the same beach where we had built countless memories. My hands trembled as I set down my phone. I had not been excluded because there was no vacation. I had been excluded from the vacation itself. That night, I called my mother, struggling to keep my voice steady. I saw Amanda's photos from Cedar Point. "You told me there was no trip this year." Her response was measured, practiced. "Carrie, your father felt it would be best for everyone. He is still processing your choices. And you. What do you think, Mom?" The long pause before her answer told me everything I needed to know. "I think families need to stick together," she finally said. "Sometimes that means making difficult decisions." I hung up feeling a mixture of confusion and betrayal. This was the first fracture in what would become 8 long years of exclusion. The second summer came around, and I was determined to heal the rift. I sent a handwritten letter to my parents, apologizing not for my career choice, but for the way I had communicated it. I expressed my love for them and my desire to restore our relationship, including our cherished vacation tradition. A week later, I received a brief response from my mother, Carrie. "We received your letter. Your father needs more time. We will be at Cedar Point from July 15 to 29. Perhaps next year would be better." The response was clear. Another year, another exclusion. I tried to focus on building my life in Seattle, making new friends, and advancing in my career. But the pain lingered, a constant ache beneath the surface of my achievements. By the third summer, I had enough. I decided to surprise my family at the resort, believing that face-to-face reconciliation was our best chance. I took a week off work, flew across the country, and drove the familiar coastal road to Cedar Point. My heart pounded as I approached the front desk. "I am here to visit the Thompson family," I told the receptionist with forced confidence. The woman typed on her computer, then gave me an apologetic look. "I am sorry, sir. The Thompson party has specifically requested no visitors. I cannot allow you to go to their cabins." I stood there, stunned by the premeditated nature of my rejection. They had anticipated I might come and had taken steps to prevent it. I drove back to the airport and returned to Seattle without seeing them, feeling more isolated than ever. The fourth year brought a new level of pain. Through social media, I discovered my sister Amanda was getting married. I received no invitation, no announcement, nothing. I learned about it only through photos posted online after the fact. The entire family was there in their formal wear, smiling for pictures. There was even a table reserved for the Thompson family visible in one of the shots. I called Jason that night, my youngest sibling, with whom I had once shared everything. "Why did nobody tell me about Amanda's wedding?" I asked, not bothering to hide the hurt in my voice. "Dad said it would cause too much drama," he replied, his voice barely above a whisper. "I wanted to tell you, but you know how he gets." "I am sorry, Carrie." The fifth year brought a personal crisis that made family estrangement even more painful. I was involved in a serious car accident on a rainy Seattle night. My car hydroplaned and collided with a guardrail. I required surgery and spent a week in the hospital. My coworker called my parents to inform them using the emergency contact information in my personnel file. No one came. No flowers were sent. I received one text message from my mother: "Heard about your accident. Hoping for a quick recovery." That was it. As I lay in the hospital bed, I realized I was truly alone, at least as far as my blood relations were concerned. During my recovery, I met with a therapist who helped me begin to process the ongoing rejection. Dr. Lindsay helped me understand that while I could not control my family's actions, I could control how I responded to them. I began to build what she called my chosen family, the people who supported me by choice, not obligation. The 6th year, I made one final attempt at reconciliation. I sent expensive Christmas gifts to each family member. For my father, a rare first edition legal text he had once mentioned wanting. For my mother, a custom music box that played the song she taught me on piano. For Amanda and Jason, thoughtful gifts that reflected their interests and our shared childhood. All the packages were returned unopened. A brief note accompanied them. We do not need anything from you. Please respect our wishes for distance. That was when something inside me began to change. The hurt transformed into a quiet resolve. I was done chasing approval that would never come. The 7th year brought an unexpected contact. My mother called on a Tuesday afternoon. For a moment, hope flared in my chest. "Carrie, I hope you are doing well." She began, her voice unusually warm. "Jason is starting a new business venture, and he needs some initial investment. We thought perhaps you might want to help your brother succeed." The request stunned me. After years of exclusion, they were reaching out only because they needed money. Despite everything I sent, Jason $20,000. I told myself it was for him, not for my parents' approval. After the money was received, communication ceased once again. No thank you, no follow-up, nothing. Throughout these years, the summer vacation tradition at Cedar Point continued without me. Each year, I would see the photos posted, the happy captions about family time and keeping traditions alive. Each one was a fresh wound. My mother, who I had always believed would eventually stand up for me, continued to hide behind phrases like keeping the peace and family harmony to justify her complicity in my exclusion. During a brief phone conversation, she actually said, "Carrie, sometimes we have to make sacrifices for the greater good of the family unit." The emotional toll was immense. I cycled through depression, anger, and a profound sense of worthlessness. My therapist helped me recognize these feelings and develop coping strategies, but the healing process was slow and painful. I struggled with relationships, always expecting eventual abandonment. Trust did not come easily anymore. During this dark period, 2 people became my lifeline. Max, a fellow architect who had become my best friend, and Sophia, his wife, who ran a successful marketing agency. They included me in their holidays, checked on me regularly, and provided the unconditional support I had been denied by my biological family. We would spend Thanksgivings together, take weekend trips, and simply be there for each other through life's challenges. Family is who shows up, Sophia would say. Not who is obligated to, but chooses not to. The breaking point came during the 8th year of my exclusion. I discovered through social media that my parents were celebrating their 40th wedding anniversary. There were photos of an elaborate party with Amanda and Jason featured prominently as the organizers. The caption read, "Thank you to all our children for making this celebration so special." My mother had commented, "So blessed to have all 3 of our beloved children with us today." All 3. She had acknowledged my existence only to emphasize my absence. That was when something inside me finally released. I stopped waiting for reconciliation. I stopped hoping for inclusion. I focused entirely on building my own life, my own success, my own happiness, and succeed I did. My design for an eco-friendly resort in Colorado won national recognition in architectural circles. I was made senior partner at my firm. A major hotel chain commissioned me to design their new flagship properties, resulting in a 7-figure bonus. During this professional high point, Max called me with interesting news. He had transitioned from architecture to real estate development and had insider information about a property coming up for auction. "Carrie, you are not going to believe this. Cedar Point Resort is going into foreclosure. The owners are filing for bankruptcy, and the entire property will be auctioned off next month. I thought of you immediately." My heart raced as I processed this information. Cedar Point. the site of countless childhood memories, the place my family continued to visit while excluding me, the symbolic ground of my rejection. Send me the details, I said, an idea forming that would change everything. The auction was scheduled for the following month in Portland, Maine. I flew in the day before to meet with Max and tour the property. Cedar Point Resort had seen better days. The owners had neglected maintenance and occupancy rates had declined. The once charming beachfront cabins now looked weathered and outdated. But the location was still breathtaking, with 200 feet of private beachfront on one of Maine's most beautiful coastlines. The auction began with a minimum bid of $2 million. Several hotel groups and developers showed interest. When the bidding reached $3.5 million, most participants dropped out. One persistent bidder, a representative from a national resort chain, continued to compete with me. $4 million, he called out. I took a deep breath. $4.5 million. The room fell silent. After an agonizing 30 seconds, the auctioneer's gavel fell. Sold to Mr. Kerry Thompson for $4.5 million. Just like that, I owned the place that had been both heaven and hell for me. The place where my fondest childhood memories were formed and where my most painful adult rejections had been staged. I immediately invested another $2 million in renovations. The entire property underwent a 10-month transformation. I redesigned all 30 cabins, adding modern amenities, while preserving the rustic charm that made the place special. We added a new restaurant, a spa, and improved beach facilities. The main lodge was completely reimagined with a soaring ceiling, massive windows overlooking the ocean, and a central fireplace that became the heart of the resort. I renamed it New Horizon Resort, symbolic of my new beginning. Max helped me hire an excellent management team, and Sophia created a brilliant marketing campaign. By early spring, we were booked solid for the entire summer season with a waiting list that grew longer each day. The resort became the most sought-after vacation destination on the Maine coast. I took particular satisfaction in knowing that the Thompson family vacation would need to find a new location that year. The thought brought a smile to my face as I walked the property that now belonged to me. Then, in late April, an unexpected call came through to the resort reservation line. Sophia, who was helping with marketing from the property that day, transferred it to my office. New Horizon Resort, this is Carrie speaking. How may I help you? Hello, I would like to book accommodations for my family in July. We used to stay at Cedar Point Resort every year, and I just discovered it has changed ownership. The voice was instantly recognizable. My mother. After 8 years of near silence, she was calling me without even realizing it. We have always stayed in cabins 14 and 15 for 2 weeks in July. I was hoping to maintain our tradition. My heart pounded in my chest. She did not recognize my voice. 8 years of minimal contact had erased even that basic familiarity. May I ask who is calling? I managed to say evenly. This is Martha Thompson. We have been coming to this resort for over 30 years. The previous owners always reserved our cabins for us. Mrs. Thompson, I said, emphasizing each syllable. This is Carrie, your son Carrie. The silence on the line stretched for several seconds. Carrie, you own the resort now. Yes, I bought it last year. Renovated it completely. Another long pause. Then her voice smaller now. We would still like to book our usual cabins. There will be 5 of us. Frank, myself, Amanda, and her husband, and Jason. The audacity was breathtaking. After 8 years of exclusion, she expected to continue their tradition on my property in my resort. I am afraid that will not be possible, I said, my voice steady. We are fully booked for the entire summer. In fact, we have been booked solid for months now. But surely you can make an exception. We are family. Those words ignited something in me. Family. After all this time, she used that word so casually. Just like your house, mine is out of room, I replied, echoing the years of rejection back to her. There is simply no space for me in your life, and no space for you at my resort. I heard her sharp intake of breath. "I will put your father on the phone." "That will not be necessary," I said. "The resort is booked. That is a business fact, not a family negotiation." "Carrie, you cannot do this. This is our tradition." "It was our tradition," I corrected her, "until you and Dad decided I was no longer part of it. Goodbye, Mother." I hung up, hands shaking, but feeling strangely liberated. Within an hour, my phone was flooded with messages. My father left a scathing voicemail about my petty revenge. Amanda texted pleading for reconsideration, suddenly remembering my contact information after years of silence. The most surprising response came from Jason, who called not to berate me, but to express a strange sort of admiration. "I have been dragged to that resort every year while they pretended everything was fine," he said. "It was always so fake, Carrie. Dad would spend half the time on business calls. Mom would force us to take happy family photos for social media. It was all for show." His candor stunned me. "You never said anything. How could I? I was stuck in the middle, but I am proud of what you have done. Not just the resort, but your whole life." You stood up to him in a way I never could. Jason revealed he had been secretly checking in on me through social media and mutual acquaintances. He asked if he and his girlfriend could visit the resort sometime away from our parents. "Actually," I said, "I kept the owner's cottage separate from the main booking system. If you want to come stay, there is always room for you there." Over the following months, something remarkable happened. The wall of isolation that had surrounded me for 8 years began to crumble, not because I had torn it down, but because I had finally stopped trying to climb it. Max and Sophia became permanent fixtures at New Horizon Resort. Max took over as property development director, planning future expansions, while Sophia handled marketing and events. Together we created something I had been denied for so long, a family bound by choice rather than blood. Jason visited that summer, staying in my private cottage with his girlfriend Megan. We reconnected over late-night conversations on the beach, sharing stories of the years we had missed in each other's lives. I learned he had never wanted to be a lawyer either, but had followed that path to avoid our father's disappointment. Now, with my example before him, he was considering a career change to pursue his passion for marine biology. "You showed me it could be done," he told me one evening as we watched the sunset, "that you could disappoint him and still survive, still thrive even." In August, I launched a special program at the resort called Real Family Week. We invited 5 families facing financial hardships to enjoy an all-expenses-paid week at New Horizon. Single parents, foster families, grandparents, raising grandchildren, all experienced the healing power of the ocean and the joy of creating new memories together. "This is what family should be," I told Max, as we watched children playing on the beach. "People who choose each other support each other, even when it is hard." My mother sent a letter in September. For the first time, it contained something resembling an apology. "I failed you as a mother," she wrote. "I chose peace over justice, comfort over courage. I will regret that for the rest of my life." She asked if we could meet to talk. I responded that I needed more time, a phrase she had used so often with me. My father never reached out directly. According to Jason, he remained stubbornly convinced he had done nothing wrong. Amanda called around Thanksgiving. Our conversation was awkward at first, years of distance, creating a chasm between us. But by the end of the call, there were tentative plans for her to visit the resort in the spring without our parents. Through it all, I continued my therapy sessions, now focused not on the pain of rejection, but on the process of rebuilding and redefining family on my own terms. Dr. Lindsay helped me understand that forgiveness did not mean forgetting or even reconciliation. It meant releasing the hold that pain had on my life. "The opposite of love is not hate," she told me. "It is indifference. When you truly heal, you will not be angry anymore. You will simply move forward." And move forward I did. New Horizon Resort became not just a successful business, but a symbol of my journey. I had transformed a place of pain into a source of joy, not just for myself, but for hundreds of guests who created their own precious memories on that same beach. As for my parents, I no longer waited by the phone or checked my email hoping for contact. The desperate need for their approval had faded, replaced by a quiet confidence in my own worth, my own choices, my own definition of family. In December, as we decorated the resort for its first holiday season, I made one small private gesture. In the newly renovated VIP cabin, I left one room untouched during the peak booking season. On the perfectly made bed, I placed a simple card that read, "For family, real family." The room remained empty, a space of possibility rather than absence. Whether it would ever be filled by those who had once excluded me remained to be seen, but the choice was now mine to make. Have you ever had to redefine what family means to you? Share your story in the comments below. If this resonated with you, please hit that subscribe button so we can continue these conversations about healing and creating boundaries. Give this video a like if you believe family should be defined by love and not just blood, and share it with someone who might need to hear this message today. Thank you for listening to my story, and remember, sometimes the most beautiful horizons come after the darkest nights.